Okay, so I'll just go fast now. So, so modern genomic science, I mean, obviously nowadays, is really can be characterized by this ability of many data sets from different origins and massive data set that we need to process to advance knowledge. And one challenge we're facing every time we see a new data set is really how we process it. And and the challenges are multiple. The first one, arguably, is like there's usually like any interesting problem, they're very hard. They take a lot of time to get a solution, and even when you get a solution, you're not sure that the answer written by the algorithm is perfect. And furthermore, when you try to process them, there's another issue appearing there. It's really about the fact that fundamentally what you're trying to do is for this analysis, is to embed reality, a real phenomenon, into a closed mathematical function. And what we know is like you cannot embed reality into a mathematical formula. So often to resolve this challenge, the classical approach is really to rely on human scientists, us, where we ask computers to crack the numbers, process the data set, and eventually the human will review the results, validate them, fix potential errors, and generate trust from the analysis performed. And that means that fundamentally the human is at the core of the scientific discovery process here. But now you see the issue that we're facing. The data sets are growing in size almost by the day. The diversity of them is coming. So what are we doing? We don't have enough manpower, brain power to process and see every data individually. So the question we ask is like, where can we find people to help us? And the answer we provide through the work done in my lab is like, it's in video games. Imagine that we're spending every week collectively about 5,000 lifetime playing video games. That's a huge amount of brain power, specifically when you're considering that playing a video game is actually solving a problem. A game is a mathematical problem embedded into an entertaining interface. So what if you could just capture just one small tiny part of this brain power spent in video game to do something useful? And what I'm calling useful here, as you understood, is making some metagenomics data analysis. This is what we did like about 15 years ago with a game called Phylo. That was an attempt from the lab to embed the multiple sequence alignment problem that is at the core of many countless papers and the core of almost any research in genomics into a casual game that you see here on a slide. So fundamentally, the idea was to cut and the problem into many smaller problems and of a sequence alignment. And we were presenting this problem into this interface that looks like a casual time machine games. Of course, the idea is like we couldn't ask the participant to align the full genomes all by themselves. What we had was really a human-computer interface where first we're using a state-of-the-art algorithm to align the sequences at first. And then we're scanning this alignment, extracting region that could be potentially be improved. That was the database of puzzle we had. And that was the puzzle you were playing the interface. Then we collected the solution written by the players, and we were reinserting them into the alignment. So arguably, the reinsertion step is a bit complicated, and there's some technical step, but you still understand the idea about what was going on here. So Phylo was a quite successful experience. We had several hundred of thousands of participants to this, and we show that for many different sequences, many different algorithm and scoring function, the method was producing consistently better results. So we are very encouraged by this. However, there was an issue. Even if the game was arguably one of the most successful citizen science game at this time, it was not the participation there was not nearly enough to address the challenge that we had in mind at the very beginning when we started this issue. That was basically aligning microbial sequence massively. And so we're discussing with Rob Knight about this problem, try to see how we can address it. And then came an innovative solution to the problem of engagement into citizen science from Attila Stenter, who is our collaborator and the CEO and founder of Massively Multiplayer Online Science, which is this company that proposed to create partnerships between scientists and video game developer that are proposing, that already have communities of gamers ready assembled, in which we can try to insert a game to promote engagement. And one of the work that we did with them was with CCP Game that developed this game called EVE Online that you're seeing here. So it's a massively multiplayer online game that is basically a sci-fi opera. And inside the game, we managed to convince CCP Games to integrate some citizen science task inside. And what you're seeing here was Project Discovery that we worked with Attila, that consisted in helping gating flow cytometry sample through this interface. But to some extent, EVE Online and then Project Discovery, this doesn't really look like a game, and it works because EVE Online, it's a game that is also have sci-fi narratives and older population of gamers, so it was a bit cheating in a way. What we really want to do to address a lot of people was to work with game like Borderlands. So I don't know if many of you have know Borderlands, but it's one of the top-selling games in the world with tens and tens of millions of players. But Borderlands, what it is, it's a first-person shooter looter. It's fast, it's fun, and no one would think about seeing science there, and even less doing something useful. Nonetheless, this is what we achieve here with Borderlands Science. And Borderlands Science is a version of Phylo that was revisited by the game designer of Gearbox, eventually completely destructed and reassembled when we tried to adopt this what we call the game first approach, try to first do a game and then try to insert into it a scientific mechanism that will make the game useful for us scientists. And then, for instance, you see the difference with the previous game of Phylo I showed to you. We play vertically, the gaming system is much faster. The idea is to insert or removing these yellow tiles, we call the gaps, and try to create row of uniform color. And to make things even more engaging, the key idea, and that really it was a game changer, was to insert the game directly into the universe of the video games. And typically, if you go to the base camp of Borderlands 3, in the sick bay, you have an arcade booth that you're seeing here that anyone can enter when basically you're waiting for your friends that are in mission. And you, when you have nothing to do, you can access the arcade and then play the game. And it comes with a lot of different boosters and skins you can get from it. So we really be benefiting about all the universe of the game to make some to engage the population. And that was a huge success. We launched at the beginning of the pandemic, if you still remember that time, in April 2020. We're still very anxious of launching at this time, but it turns out to be a very good choice. Since then, we had 5 million participants, so arguably, I think we can say that's the largest citizen science project that was realized, and realize our goal to align these 1 million sequences from the TMI, the microdata initiatives. So I won't go into detail of evaluation, but you understand all the challenges. That was basically having to first decompose the problem to smaller puzzle, we're fitting them, but also because we didn't know the solution, how do we converge toward an improved solution? So here the idea was to use the green gene trees as a guide and try to use a solution to try to find the maximum likelihood between the alignment generated and the known trees that we have on some leaves. But the story doesn't end here, because eventually you understand that what we show was that we were able to improve the alignment, but we cannot ask every time create a new video game that takes years. Borderlands Science took 5 years in the making to be released online, and we cannot spend all this energy and time for every video game, for every problems. eventually, what we want to do for this is collect data that will enable us to apply the machine learning algorithm to learn from the player and create this loop where we learn, improve the puzzles afterward to make even more difficult case, and create a virtual cycle in which AI and citizen scientists are working together to create the best method for automating the process of alignment. And finally, even my motivation at the very beginning working that was obviously to try to improve the alignment. But potentially what became even more important through all this work and what we're doing here, and we understand these days even more how important it is like this approach here of try to outreach and go to the public to do science, enable us to basically engage more people into the scientific discovery process, empowering a lot of gamers, millions of gamers across the world that may never be involved into the science project, and try to, by this, to reinforce public trust in science and explaining what are the principles, what we're doing and why we're doing it, and eventually inspire new generation. So for this, I would just thank all my collaborators. I probably forgot a lot of different people, different funding organism. I had also the video that I sent to, that is a trailer of Borderlands Science. I'm not sure we have time to play it, but if we don't, I will encourage you to go on YouTube, Google Borderlands Science, and then you will see the trailer of the game that give you a gist about what we're doing here. And thanks a lot. And sorry again for being muted at the start.
Hey folks, this is Maya Bialik, actor, PhD scientist, researcher, and your favorite person. Today, I'm here to talk to you about video games and science, and how we can grab both by their necks and make them kiss, consensually. Long story short, by playing Borderlands 3, you can contribute to real-world scientific research, as in data that helps real people in meat space. Speaking of meat, did you know that more than half the cells in our bodies are alien? Only 43% of our cells are of human origin. The rest belong to foreign microbes. These microbes have a massive impact on our body's health. The more we study microbes, the more we can learn about the accumulation of meat and existential terror that is the human body. These microbes are made up of DNA, just like us. Each microbe has its own special DNA signature, and similar species of microbes have similar DNA. If we could sequence all the different species of microbes found in the human body, which, remember, make up more than half of the cells in our body, we'd learn a ton about ourselves. To that end, the Microsetta Initiative collected tens of thousands of samples of, to use the scientific term, doo-doo. Extracted the DNA of the microbes inside and sequenced it. Now we just need to organize this data. Unfortunately, though computers excel at certain tasks like crunching numbers or tracking down specific pornography, they're not so good at organizing DNA information. See, different species of microbes have similar but not quite identical DNA. That means mapping their sequences can be kind of ambiguous. The computer makes lots of small mistakes that can corrupt downstream analysis. Which brings us back to video games! So, we've got several million sequences that are each 150 nucleotides long that are riddled with small errors from the computer analysis. How can we get rid of all these errors? With your help. We've taken the millions of DNA sequences and broken them down into bite-sized puzzles that you can play and solve inside Borderlands 3. And try not to think about the fact that the DNA came from human excrement when I use phrases like bite-sized. By playing Borderlands Science inside Borderlands 3, you'll be directly helping our scientists organize and compare this dung data. The game is simple. You'll be confronted with different strands of DNA, each made up of individual tiles. It's your job to place as many of these tiles as possible in their appropriate row while matching the colors. It's not always possible to line everything up perfectly, but that's okay. By playing the game and matching the sequences, you'll also be identifying the errors in our computer analysis and helping scientists across the planet build a better algorithm for the future. And since all this research is open access, the entire scientific community will benefit from it. This research could directly lead to a universal catalog of all known microbes, which could lead to new breakthroughs in food, medicine, exercise. The sky's the limit. And it all starts with you playing a video game. But if the pursuit of knowledge isn't enough of an encouragement to sort through virtual butt microbes, then fear not. Playing Borderlands Science earns you in-game currency you can spend on booster items for your characters. Oh, and this is all totally free. Just activate the Borderlands Science machine on Sanctuary 3 and sort some gut microbes.